everybody, my name is Luke Etheridge and welcome to One Hub Racing on the PlayStation 4. This is the Podium Tier and it is round 18 now of Season 14, and tonight it is the Mexican Grand Prix. If you weren't with us last week, we saw the Drivers' Championship in the Podium Tier decided. All Iceman had to do was finish in the top three, and that is what he managed in the end. He's been the most consistent driver this season. Definitely one of the fastest since Austria. Who knows what would have happened if Aaron hadn't have left the league, if Zeppadoodle had been able to attend more of the races, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, and Nexus has certainly done that so far. 6 wins, 11 podiums. He's been driver of the day 5 times, and he is a truly deserved champion. But if you think that means there's not really much to watch in this league and you can just go and have a bit of a break, you couldn't be more wrong. There is a lot of excitement still in this championship at the moment. You've got Estimat, one of the race premium drivers, only 5 points ahead of Ivan, Ivan's Ferrari teammate, and another race premium driver. He is just 14 points behind as well for that 4th place. And then you've got Azamata, Zeppadoodle, Peter Parker, Riley Byes not too far back, and then Boris, Gazzaman, Foggy, 3 more of One Hub's race premium drivers. They also still have a slim mathematical chance of getting that 2nd place in the championship. And with the way Boris has been driving lately, it wouldn't surprise me or anyone if he pushes his way up the table. 2nd in Singapore, a win in Russia, and another victory in Japan. It's 2 wins in a row for Boris. Peter Parker got another podium as well, securing 2nd place in the Racing Point. What all that means when you consider the Constructors' Championship as well, because Nexus might have secured for drivers, but he's still got his work cut out alongside Azamata if they want to do the double for Mercedes this season. At the moment, they are 47 points ahead of Ferrari. Again, there's a slim chance that McLaren and Racing Point could catch up, but they are both over 100 points behind, so they would need a bit of a miracle to catch up. And who knows, miracles can happen at times, and if there's any track that pretty much guarantees some fantastic racing action, it is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. 4.3 kilometers, so just over 2.5 miles. It will be a 36 lap race tonight with an 18-minute qualifying session starting us off. As always, should be a fascinating race, I'm sure. A lot of slipstreaming down the straights and a lot of battles that will be going on throughout the race. Now, as I mentioned last week, it was Boris who took the win from Peter Parker and Nexus Iceman. There were a few stewards' inquiries, mainly relating to the removal of penalties. I think Riley, Ivan, they were some of the drivers who managed to get penalties removed. No further action taken for some of the incidents involving Riley and Estimat, so that was all sorted out pretty cleanly. And it was a dominant performance really from Boris, as I mentioned. He took pole position, he won driver of the day last time out, he got the fastest lap, led not every lap, of course some of the other drivers overtook him in the pits, but it was a fantastic job from him, and I'm sure he'll be hoping to make it 3 victories in a row tonight. Ivan pretty happy that his internet isn't that bad this time, and he's going to need it to hold up. There's definitely a chance for Ferrari, as I mentioned, to steal that Constructors' Championship with just 4 races to go of Season 14 here at One Hub. So start of 3 American races tonight. We're in the centre of America for Mexico. Next week we're moving north slightly to Texas and COTA for the American Grand Prix, down to Sao Paulo at the famous Interlagos circuit for round 20. And then what better way to spend your Valentine's Day evening than watching many drivers chuck it around the beautiful Yas Marina circuit for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which will finish off Season 14. And if you check Twitter and YouTube, there is a very small trailer out for Season 15, and who knows what that will bring. I'm sure more information will be released in due course. Shouldn't be long now before qualifying gets underway. As I mentioned, 18 minutes of qualifying and then a 36 lap race. Expect to see slipstreaming galore. The highest track on the calendar altitude wise means you see a lot of downforce having to be put on the cars just to try and ensure they can go around the corners, but you still get some insane top speeds around here. We have 16 drivers at the moment in the lobby. Daniel will be joining throughout qualifying, so we should have at least 17 drivers, and it is quite a cramped circuit. It's very difficult to get out of the way around some parts, especially in the middle and the final sectors. I'm sure I'll show you on a hat lap once qualifying gets underway, so traffic management in qualifying will be all important. Gazaman sent the signal to the drivers, so they should all be readying up now. Hopefully it will be an exciting race for all you guys watching. After this, there is the Precision Tier, of course, at 7:30, and then the Pinnacle at 8:30. No Prestige Tier tonight. So all you guys that are watching can go out and go partying a bit later on if you feel like you want to do that, or just have an early night. I feel like I know which one of those I'll be going for. 10 seconds to go before the qualifying session starts. If you get in the chat now, feel free to send me your comments, who you think is going to win tonight. Can Boris make it 3 wins out of 3? And who knows, if he hadn't have had penalties in Singapore, he could well have been on for 4 victories in a row in 2020. He has brought a whole new meaning to the saying new year, new me. He has been unstoppable pretty much since that winter break. Cohen in the chat putting some nice advice for some of you drivers if you're watching about what wing setup to go for. I don't think it matters what wing setup I choose. I don't think it matters if I had airplane wings around here. I'd still find a way to A, crash into something, and B, be a lot slower than these guys. So just waiting now for all the drivers to ready up. What will be the 18th qualifying session of the season? Who will take pole position around here? It's all about getting it right. You've got to have a slippery car down the straights. Although with weather like this, having a slippery car makes no difference whatsoever if you've got no downforce on. They're all going to be chucking loads on. So I'm sure all these nice wing strategies that Cohen and Sam are putting in the chat might just change ever so slightly. It is going to be a dry race though, thanks to our lovely weatherman Ivan. So going to see some compromise strategies. Will anyone go for a bit more of a higher downforce setup, give themselves a bit more stability, and possibly sneak pole position, knowing that they may struggle in the race? Or what is most likely, just take the risk in qualifying of perhaps crashing out or being further in the grid, but knowing that you'll be nice and consistent over the 36 lap race. No points for qualifying, of course. 25 available if you get the win, and an extra point available if you get the fastest lap. And even if you get the fastest lap and don't finish in the top 10, you can still get yourself an extra point. Some of the drivers now rushing out on track. We've got one of the Ferraris, Kingan, first man to head out. Pepperloo out as well into Toro Rosso. We've got one of the Mercedes now coming out of the pit lane as well. The Haas of Liam, he's out as well. Sam in the Red Bull. I think he's promised that he would buy Liam a Dundee United shirt if he wins tonight. Not sure quite why you'd want a Dundee United shirt, but who knows? What pleases people? You can just see the spray that is out there. Full wet tyres, unsurprisingly. This does mean that everyone will have fresh tyres during the race, of course. So you won't get that sort of offset that you get sometimes with those in the top 10 starting on older rubber, because of course we're a dry race. It would be a bit cruel if the powers that be in the FIA forced the top 10 to start on the wet tyres, but it would make things slightly more interesting in the dry conditions. They'll all be trying to get a lap out now. We've got Nexus Iceman, champion, with 4 rounds remaining, just one of the Salvers getting out of the way. That is AB. He has had a bit of a nightmare start to one hub. I know I keep bringing it up, but hopefully things will go better for him this time around. It was a wet race, of course, last time in Japan, so these drivers will now be well averse to driving in these wet conditions. Few drivers now starting their fast lap. Just waiting for everyone to go round. Got Estimats second in the championship at the moment. Still battling to keep those 2 Ferraris behind him of Ivahanen and Ivan. It's extremely close, as I said. Estimats just 5 points ahead of Ivahanen, who's a further 14 points ahead of Ivan. And then you've got Azamata, Zepadoodle, Peter Parker, Riley Bays, all within a race victory of being able to overtake the McLaren driver. We'll just stick on board with him, the man second in the championship at the moment, yet to get a win despite having 4 podiums. So that just shows the consistency that he's had, that he's able to be second in the championship for a hot lap in atrocious conditions around this circuit. Heading down the start straight, there's the DRS line, inactive of course in these wet conditions. Because here taking it nice and steady, still reaching over 200 mile an hour, so just above 320 kilometers an hour, braking hard into turn 1, and you can just see the throttle and brake tracers there, how steady they are having to be, especially for those drivers that don't use anti-lock brakes or traction control. And it's a 1:31.362 for Kingan, the first lap at the moment. This is the second DRS straight that we've just seen as he heads now towards turn 4. It's very twisty around 5 and 6, but you can keep battles going for a long time. Turn 6 basically a double apex right-hander as Azamata takes provisional pole position for now. Now we've got the S's hard enough in the dry. It's going to be very tricky in these wet conditions. Some drivers are brave enough to risk it side by side for him. You can just see the McLaren sliding slightly as he goes along. Now down towards turn 12. And the stadium section, the old Peralta that was used in the 60s and the 90s has gone, and Ivan has retired from the session, so things not going well for the Ferrari. He said he's had connection issues, and perhaps that is what's caused him to crash out in this qualifying session. Estimats comes across the line. It's good enough for second place at the moment, but it is a full second behind our championship leader. As Liam has just gone off track there, said these S's are tricky. In some of the pre-race interviews that they have at One Hub, some of the drivers said Liam has been a disappointment this season. This is the 3rd team he has driven for. He has found it rather tricky this season. Down in 13th place in the championship on 28 points. We've just got one of the racing points getting out of the way there. But in these conditions especially, I wouldn't be surprised to see him dive into the pit lane to get another lap underway. We are seeing a few more times being set, and yet indeed he does dive into the pit lane and happily just takes the bollard out with him. So after a third of the qualifying session, it is Nexus Iceman, unsurprisingly, on pole position at the moment as Boris spinning up his rear wheels there, coming out of turn 6 in 4th gear. That's how much water is on the circuit at the moment. Estimats is second, Azamata third, and then Astronauti, Riley, Kingan, Pepperloo and Gazaman, the only other drivers to have set times at the moment. 8 drivers have set times, 8 drivers still yet to set a time. We know Ivan won't be. He is out of this qualifying session and will most likely start in 16th place. Hopefully Daniel will be able to join us. And as Ivan has mentioned, because I am quite a forgetful individual in my old age, this is of course the qualifying ban that he is serving, that he didn't serve last time out as he was absent. And Boris with a 1:28.535. So great lap time from him. He is definitely showing the form that he has carried on. So just apologies to Ivan for that. How dare I doubt your abilities. Of course, it is a qualifying ban after his incident with Azamata from the Russian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. But Boris, once again, he showed last week, it doesn't matter if it's wet or dry. He is a class act at the moment, as he's on for pole position at the moment with 10.5 minutes remaining. What can Pizza Parker do? He seems to spend a lot of time in setting similar times to his teammates in these qualifying sessions. His teammate in 5th at the moment, it looks like he's going much quicker than him, and he does. 4th place, 6/10 exactly faster than the other Pink Panther. That is good enough for a spot on the 2nd row of the grid for Pizza Parker at the moment. 4/10 ahead of Estimates, and you do see this quite often in wet conditions. A much bigger split across the field. On board with Sam now, we've seen yellow flags in the 1st and 2nd sector. Sam just goes in deep slightly into turn 1, and you can just see how much that's compromised his line compared to the McLaren of Estimates that we watched earlier on. Losing a lot of time down this straight, quite a few tenths off what Boris did, but still not a disaster with the field spread so much at the moment. We're used to seeing drivers, the whole field being separated by less than a second sometimes, so 3 seconds at the moment separating the top 10. There is a lot of room for improvement, but they won't be too bothered about pushing in this qualifying session, as Eva Hannon, in what is the sole remaining Ferrari now in this qualifying session, sets the slowest time at the moment, 11th place. I'm sure we'll see an improvement from him. These drivers are just going to want to stay out of the barriers. They don't want to start last. They're not going to go for anything spectacular, I feel, though, because you can overtake around here. 2 DRS zones and one of the longest straights on the calendar. Plenty of opportunities throughout that 1st sector for battles, and the final sector as well in the stadium section if you're brave enough. Nice drifting there from Sam. He comes across the line, slotting just ahead of his teammate in 10th position at the moment. Iceman on his outlap now needs to find just over 1.5 tenths of a second if he wants to take pole position. I think it was Austria where we saw his first win. Since then he has been pretty much in a different class a lot of the time. He's been incredibly consistent. As you can see, 17 races so far. Only 6 times has he been off of the podium, and that's the kind of drive you need to put in if you want to be the champion. And talking of being the champion, White Fountain is also the Prestige Tier champion. We know Louis has White Fountain is the Precision champion, I should say. Louis is the Prestige champion, but it's still all up for grabs in the Pinnacle Tier, so there is still plenty of championship action in that tier, and there is plenty throughout the field here. More yellow flags as Nexus, well, the game said he was on an outlap there, but that was clearly not the case. 128.490, good enough for pole position at the moment. Riley has improved to move ahead of his teammate Eva Hannon in the Ferrari. Much better 2nd lap for him. That puts him in 7th, and we are seeing the field close together a bit more now to get towards the action point in this qualifying session. Just 7 minutes remaining here in Mexico, and it is Nexus Iceman on provisional pole. Boris, Riley Vise, Pizza Parker and Azamata rounding out the top 5. Still atrocious conditions around here. If I check the tyres that everyone is on at the moment, unsurprisingly all on the wets. I don't think we're going to see anyone risk it on the intermediates. Astronauti caused a bit of a stir in his first race, but kept his nose more or less clean last time around. Did some great defending, which actually helps Boris escape at the start of the race, and he's in 8th position at the moment. Couldn't improve on that lap, but he has shown some pace quite often. Maybe we'll see him move further up the field. Kingan just behind in the Sowell. Williams in 9th position. Pizza Parker has done a lot of laps on these wet tyres, so he definitely fuelled heavier at the start. You can see there's managed 3 laps, and you can do that in these wet conditions. Sometimes worth just putting a bit more fuel in the car to gain some experience on how the car feels. He was a 10th up going through the first sector, so could possibly improve to just pip his teammates to that 3rd place at the moment. No drifting from the racing point as he heads across the line, just a 100th of a second slower than his personal best. Stays in the 1:29s, still 4th position at the moment for him. And unfortunately, at the bottom of the field at the moment, it is the 2 Alfa Romeos of AB and Coxey. Just watching AB set his lap time at the moment. What can he do in the Alfa? He's going to come across the line to set his first lap time, and it's a 1:36.0. Just getting a feel for the car in these conditions. His teammate as well with a 1:43.5. So they move up to 13th and 14th. Only Ivan, who has got a qualifying ban behind them, and Liam, who is still yet to set a lap time. Pepperlou's had a big improvement in the first sector in the Toro Rosso. 5/10ths of a second, but there's a big gap at the moment between 8th and 9th place of a second, so unless he keeps that up, it's only really going to gain him 1 position. To see how steady they are taking it. There is a slightly drier line there, so the car's really having to follow the track, but as soon as they go off that, you can just see how shiny and wet it is, a complete lack of grip. We found that those parts of the circuit, the Toro Rosso driver keeping it clean so far. This lap should be comfortably good enough to move into 9th place. Just Willie have found some more time to go any further up the order. We'll wait and see. In the end, he only just moves up into the 9th, so didn't improve too much in the 2nd or 3rd sector. All his improvements coming in the 1st sector. It's good enough for 9th position at the moment. Estimates in 6th, we were 1:29.286. First hot lap on these wet tyres. And unfortunately, the game's deciding not to show us how he's doing. Ivan has left the session. It says hopefully he'll be able to get back in. I haven't seen Daniel join either, so he's running out of time with 3 minutes remaining if he wants to get himself involved in this race. Riley now takes provisional pole position, 1:28.4. Great lap from the Dutchman. He's getting very close at the top. Estimates running wide there. Will that lead to an invalidated lap? Still looks to be pushing hard through the stadium section. Only needs just over a 10th to get ahead of Azamata. He's with Sol McLaren tonight, which pretty much puts the nail in the coffin of their Constructors' Championship chances. Who knows what they could have done if Zeppadoodle had been able to attend more races. Estimats comes across the line. He has moved up just 1 position. He's into 5th place at the moment. Gazaman in the Red Bull. He's not improving on this lap, and he's finding himself stuck behind Liam in traffic at the moment. Gaza still the highest man not to get a podium so far this season, in 10th place in the championship, 78 points. Not seen some of the usual consistency that we sometimes see from Gazaman that he became known for in the podium tier. F1 2019 having very different handling, of course, to the previous games as the cars have evolved. Still Riley on provisional pole, 1:47 remaining. He looks as though he might be building up to another lap in that racing point, just getting himself a bit of free air. Ivan still having connection issues. UK Cox is improved up to 12, and AB getting himself closer to the back of the field as well, which is good to see. Liam with a slow first sector. It's pretty much going to be his only chance to set a lap time in this session. 1:19 remaining. What can the Scotsman do? Can he move up from 16th? He's got a bit of a queue of cars behind them. He's got one of the Red Bulls there. I believe that is Sam, who's the only one out on an outlap, as Liam there completely getting it wrong through the S's. And he's in the wall, so that's his qualifying over. He will be starting 16th. So Ivan, even though he's had a qualifying ban, could well have 2 cars behind him. 50 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. At the moment, Boris well up in the first sector, 3/10 faster than his personal best. If he keeps this up, this is going to be another pole position, I feel, for the Russian. Coxey's had enough as well. He's in 12th at the moment. Just half a minute remaining. Boris should cross the line early enough to get another lap time in, theoretically, but I don't think he'll be able to. He might not need one at the moment. He's a third of a second up, just running slightly wide there as he comes through that turn there at turn 12. Cutting the corners as much as the game allows you to. What can he do? Gazzaman and AB in the pits as well, so qualifying over for those guys. Boris completely sideways across the line, but it's good enough to get into the 127s. Half a second quicker than anyone else. Riley crossing the line, provisionally P2 at the moment. What is Iceman doing? He's not improving at the moment. He's very close to his personal best, so he could still knock Riley off of that second space. Peter Parker, 4th at the moment. Estimats slightly improving. Can he improve, get himself into the top 4 in that McLaren? No. Lost quite a chunk of time in that final sector. Azamata is well up. I spoke about the Brazilian at the moment. Can he move himself further up the order? Indeed he can. That is second place at the moment for him. And it looks like he will be the lead Mercedes. Iceman's coming through the final few corners now. Don't think there's anyone ahead of him to set a time, so we'll see what Iceman can do. 4th at the moment. He only needs a slight improvement to move up 1 position. He's found a huge improvement in that final sector. He now moves up into 2nd place. Astronauti, he crosses the line into 8th. Eva Hannon just cruising around, so that is his qualifying over. He will be 7th, so it's not looking ideal for the Ferraris in their constructors battle with Mercedes. The Mercedes 2nd and 3rd, Ferrari 7th and 14th. But there is the pole man heading into the pit lane. It's another pole position for Boris. Only man in the 127s, pulling it out of the bag in the last minute, but with such a long run here from the start line to turn 1. Might not be the ideal position to start in 1st place. We will have to wait and see. We'll just wait for the session to come to the end. All the cars now returning to the pit lane, but another great performance from Boris. 2 racing points. I said they're usually together on the grid and close in lap times. Riley for a second thought he was going to get pole position. 4th place, still a very respectable job from him. So the qualifying results there at the moment. Boris in pole position, and then it's the 2 Mercedes behind. The new champion Iceman with his teammate Azamata not far behind. Then the 2 racing points of Riley Baez and Peter Parker. SD Mats rounding out the 3rd row. Eva Hannon and Astronauti make it an all finish 4th row of the grid. And Gazaman and Kingan round out the top 10. Sam, who a few drivers here think that Sam might have a chance of winning. Usually 11th place is a good place to start, but it doesn't make a difference here without fresh tyres for everyone. Then Pepperlou, Coxey, AB, Ivan and Liam. And I didn't see Dan join the session, so we'll have to wait and see. Ivan says his internet only survived for 1 qualifying session. Hopefully he'll be able to join us in the race and things will be all well and good. And it's a much drier Mexican Grand Prix. For a second there I thought the spectators were giving it a Mexican wave, but no, they're just clapping very weirdly in sync. It's almost hypnotising. Drivers just picking the setup there at the moment. Be able to make a few changes to the front wing after the Parc Ferme conditions of qualifying. So who do you guys think is going to take the victory today? Boris in pole position again. 2 wins in a row. Can he make it a hat-trick? Just imagine what he'd have been able to do if he'd have been here since the start of the season. I very much doubt if he'd have been showing this form, Nexus would be looking so comfortable at the head of the field, and we've still got that battle for second place in the championship. Zeppadoodle not being here, you can pretty much say that we have still got 6 drivers with a realistic chance of securing that second place. We've got both Ferraris, the Mercedes of Azamata, the other McLaren of Estimat's currently in that second place, and both Racing Points. Just waiting now as we will come to the grid, and then we'll check what tyres everyone has gone for. I can already see a difference on the front row, as I'm not quite sure what's happening there behind. Hopefully everything is okay. Some of the cars just disappearing. There's the tyre choices. The majority of the field has gone for the soft tyres. One-stop strategy, the expected strategy around here. You can make soft to medium work, and then medium to soft. Most of the drivers going for the soft tyres. Got the entire field sandwiched by medium tyre runners, with Boris at the front and Liam at the back, and then Estimat going for the hard tyres. So expect him to run very long into this race. He will struggle in the first few laps, as might Boris and Liam, and most importantly for our poleman, he may struggle off the line. Those on the softs just might get a bit more bite at the start. Could be a very interesting run down towards the first corner. Quick reminder that this is the Podium Tier. Precision follows at 7:30. Austin soloing his way through that one tonight, and then at 8:30 it is Kieran and Jamie bringing you the Pinnacle Tier. Nexus Iceman, of course, winning the championship last time out. He's earned himself a trophy. He has also earned himself his choice of either a next level racing wheel stand or a wheel stand light, and if you guys watching want to get your hands on one of them, as Boris gets himself extremely close to the crowd there, hopefully for his sake he won't drop behind the Mercedes that early on in the race. If you want to get your hands, as I was saying, on a next level racing stand, you can check out the links in the description and use the code 1hub10 to get yourself a 10% discount. The cars now all lining up on the back of the grid. Ivan, I think, has called enough, so we are down to just 15 cars here today. You can see how long of a run it is down towards the first corner. The lights are coming on now. It's 4, 5. Now they go out and we are underway here in Mexico. It's a good start from Boris. Iceman slow away, and Azamat has managed to get ahead instantly of his teammate. Now we see the slipstreaming starting. Boris moving over to being allowed to take the racing line. Nexus Iceman trying to get back ahead of his teammate. Azamat not really giving him room, but having to in the end. It's been pretty even towards the front of the grid and looks fairly clean further behind as well at the moment in this race. Everyone through pretty cleanly, so it's Boris still in the lead, then Iceman, Azamata, Riley and Peter Parker. Eva Hannon's managed to get ahead of the McLaren. Seen a few people drop down the grid. We've seen some yellow flags, a bit of carnage behind. We've got some bits of a front wing there, not quite sure who that is from. Kingan and Gazaman got themselves caught up in that. I think Pepperloo, he's not got some damage. So trying to work out who's got some damage, judging by how wide he's taking that corner. I think Astronaut has got himself involved again, and it is indeed some points of the Renault, I should say, that is damaged. Liam's managed to move himself up into 10th, and Coxey up into 8th as well, so some great driving from him. Some more bollard action there as Peter Parker's now dropped behind Eva Hannon, so the Ferrari flying on lap 1, but it is Boris in the lead of this race as they end the first lap, with Iceman Azamata still behind, trying to slipstream. No DRS this time around, and they won't have DRS on this straight next time, even though it is of course activated at the end of the second lap. Azamata already getting himself a penalty. Very surprising to see so early on in the race. Astronaut having to dive into the pits. He has gone for the hard tyres, so expect to see him take them to the end of this race. Eva Hannon trying to go round the outside of Riley Vies. He is a man possessed at the moment. That Ferrari, he wants to move his way up on the field. AB, I think, has had a spin at turn 1, lost part of his front wing, so expect to see him coming into the pits. He is in 14th place at the moment. Still very close though at the front of the field. Iceman, as a matter, managing to keep in touch. Riley Vies just about holding off Ivahanen. And Pizza Parker looking extremely close to the back of the Ferrari now, but nothing doing as Azamata has spun in the Mercedes. He's collected the Ferrari. No damage done to the Ferrari, but huge damage on the front wing of the Mercedes. He was surely going to have to pit. I said things were all looking good in the constructors. One Ferrari's had to leave because of connection issues, and that's when the Mercedes going to be heading right towards the back of the grid. So Azamata now having to pit. He's putting on the medium tyres as Ivahanen has managed to try and attack Riley around the outside at turn 1. Nothing doing for him. He's got so much pace at the moment. He's took a much better line throughout there. No DRS though this time around. There's some squeezing and big contact between the two of them. Riley is out of the race. Ivahanen getting himself a 5-second penalty and losing his front wing. That was just a bit unnecessary from the pair of them there, if I'm being honest. It is a long race. Riley, there's some lag going on definitely with the Ferrari, so we'll have to wait and see what both drivers' views of that were. And virtual safety car is out. VSC to recover Riley's car. DRS has been enabled again, so the VSC has ended. Ivahanen's going to have to dive into the pits. Pizza Parker surely will just take 3rd place as easy as anything. And we have the same top 3 as last time, just in a slightly different order. Riley, the first retirement in this race, was looking so good for the Racing Points to get a big haul of points, but now Pizza Parker the only runner as Ivahanen into the pits. And I said SD Max might struggle in the opening stages. He's avoided all the carnage. He is in 4th place as we look at the places gained by different drivers. Coxie up 8, Liam up 10 places. Pretty much everyone behind was involved in some sort of incident, so it's boding pretty well for those that have kept it clean at the moment. But now Nexus has been able to just focus on the car in front of Boris. DRS allowed now, of course. See them drivers that have made pit stops for damage. Ivahanen now down into 14th place. We see yellow flags once again at turn 1. That is for AB in the Sauber. He is real. Oh, I'm not even sure what is happening with him there. I think a few drivers suffering with connection issues tonight. AB's pretty much, yeah. We know Formula 1 cars have wings, but they shouldn't be flying like that. So Boris in the lead. Nexus Iceman still in 2nd, well within DRS range. As you can see, fastest lap of the race. He needs to get the move done, I feel, pretty soon, because he is on the better tyres at this point of the race. Boris feeling the need to go defensive early on there. Is Iceman going to go for a lunge down the inside? He's not, but a slight lock up from the Renault driver ahead. Has that compromised his line? He's managed to hit the apex just enough and got a good exit coming out of turn 3. Yellow flag in sector 2. I'm guessing that's for the flying Alpha of AB. Coxie seems to be flying his way up the order though. He is up into 4th place at the moment, as Liam has left the session. So it was going pretty well for him. Surprised to see him leave. Hopefully he's not succumbing to some of these connection issues that a few of the drivers seem to be having, because that's going to drop him down the field at the moment. Pizza Parker in a world of his own at the moment. We're seeing a lot of yellow flags, which I think is just for AB. As you see there, Liam has dropped behind Gazaman at the moment. So these yellow flags could cause a few problems in the race when it comes to overtaking. Liam thankfully back in the session now. Coxie, the only driver in the championship yet to get a point at the moment, looking good at this time in 4th place. Is Iceman any closer than last time around? Again, Boris moving to the right hand side early on the straight, but I think Iceman's got a much better chance this time straight down the inside at turn 1. Boris trying to hold it off around the outside there. We'll have the inside for that turn 2. Iceman with the inside for turn 3, but Boris got a much better exit. Nearly lost it. AB with a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that wheel spin just coming out of that corner, perhaps from having slightly harder tyres, just caught him out. AB retiring from the session, so hopefully that will be the end of these random yellow flags that we are seeing. And Nexus Iceman takes the lead. Now can he escape? Make the best use of these soft tyres, because of course Boris will be staying out a bit longer and will have fresher tyres towards the end of this race. Coxey managing to hold off Estimats for now. Estimats another one who will be staying on for quite a long time. Liam definitely suffering from some connection issues as he leads the session once again. Further down the field, Astronauty and Ivahanen for what is now last place, 12th and 13th, but with Liam having issues, you basically imagine it's going to be 11th and 12th, so sticking in the race, you can definitely get yourself a few points here. Will Ivahanen, Sam and Azamata be able to go all the way to the end on the medium tyres? And Liam as well. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be an incredibly tough job for them, or will it just be worth going all out, pushing a bit hard and possibly putting another set of mediums and softs on towards the end of the race? Estimats has got himself back past Coxey, heading down to turn 1. Cox is trying to hold it off all the way around the outside, similar to what we saw earlier, but he's not able to do so. Gazzaman and Kingan getting extremely close to each other as well in their battle for 6th and 7th place. Up ahead, Estimats holding off Coxey. He still had the DRS, and that was a big help, but he's gone deep into turn 4. The Alpha not able to take advantage, of course, as his soft tyres wear, and Estimat stays in better condition for longer. He is up now into 4th position. Out in front though, it is still Iceman, not able to escape from Boris. When will we see the first pit stops? I'm thinking it's going to be another 4 or 5 laps at least before we see anyone on these softs dive into the pit lane, but I have been wrong on many occasions before, and it wouldn't be surprising if I'm wrong again. Astronautic getting himself a free second time penalty as he tries to close up to the back of Ivahanen. Boris using the DRS then to close up with Iceman, and that will help him. Of course, DRS extremely effective. You can see 3.5 tenths caught up on that straight alone. Even though he might not have better tyres at the moment than Iceman, although he did get a good exit coming out of turn 3, and Iceman, which way is he going to go? Pretty much holding the middle of the track there. Boris down the inside, and he retakes the lead of this race. So I think that answers the question to how the softs are holding up. The mediums look like the tyres to be on at the moment. We see Coxey trying again to get past Estimat, who is on those hard tyres. These two are going to be the ones to watch on an alternative strategy to everyone else at the moment, especially considering those that haven't pitted. Gazzaman getting himself penalties. He tries to hold off the sole Williams runner of Kingan. Foggy absent tonight, and Foggy has announced that he will be retiring from league racing at the end of this season, so hopefully we'll be able to see him return over the next 3 races. Kingan looking extremely racy, and I think if you want to prove that the mediums are the tyres to be on, there we go. Fastest lap at the race at the moment for Boris, 118.7. Iceman nowhere near close enough on this straight at least, but if he can just hold on to the back of that Renault through turns 2 and 3, he might have a chance into turn 4, but you can hear how hesitant he's having to be on the throttle. That's just allowing Boris to get away, so maybe could see some pit stops a bit sooner than I expected. Kingan has got down the inside of Gazzaman into turn 1 this time around, as we are on lap 9. Azamata and Liam battling further back as well. Not quite sure if Liam is still disconnected, and he is. So that would have been a straightforward move for the Mercedes, and Ivahanen and Sam battling for 11th and 12th place as well now. Ivahanen seems to have got away from Astronauti, and he's fighting hard. Sam just trying to force him off the track. Ivahanen managing to get by. Be interesting if the game sees that as a legal move, and judging by that, I think it has. and he is staying in 12th place at the moment. Yellow flags, and it's Coxey in the Alfa Romeo. We said those tyres were starting to wear. He was in 4th place at one point before he got passed by Estimates. He's down to 8th at the moment, and Nexus has pitted. So we're seeing the first driver to have enough of those soft tyres. Iceman in the pits. He's put the medium tyres on. Where will he come out? Should be ahead of Kingan, I believe. Though such a momentum swing down this straight. You can see the Mercedes ahead there. So he has come out in 4th place on those fresh medium tyres. Let's see what he can do. And Azamata getting past Coxey as well. Coxey also coming into the pits. Not sure if he had any damage on that Alfa Romeo. Have to wait and see. He's going to drop well down towards the back of the field. No, everything fine on his cars. He put the hard tyres on. So Boris now with a 10-second lead ahead of Peter Parker, who himself is 8 seconds ahead of SD Mats in the McLaren. It is looking good for that McLaren at the moment in his charge to keep 2nd place in the championship, and a 5th podium of the season definitely help him towards that, although it's going to be hard for him. Iceman just 4 seconds behind on what is far superior tyres. So we'll see how close Iceman can get to Boris before his pit stop. Expect at least another possibly 10 laps from that Renault. I'm sure he'll be wanting to push it a bit harder to be on those softs towards the end. Peter Parker now, he's in the pits. That's going to promote SD out to 3rd place. Don't be surprised to see a lot more of the soft runners diving in this time around. There we go, Kingan and Gazaman coming in as well. So I think a lot of drivers crying it off. Pepperloo, he's hanging on just a bit longer on them softs. It'll cost him in the short term, but he may have better tyres towards the end of the race. So it is now Boris 18 seconds ahead of SD Mats. So a big crash involving Riley. He was our first retirement, and AB inventing all sorts of new racing lines, and he had to retire because of connection issues. Connection issues also, unfortunately, claiming Ivan before the race, and I think possibly Liam during it as well. Lap 11 here in Mexico. See already, Nexus caught up about a second on this lap in the Mercedes. It's just how long can Estimats hold him off for, as Astronauti now gets himself past the AFK pass of Liam. As Boris actually coming into the pits extremely early. He's going for the medium tyres again. That is a 2-stop strategy. That is a 2-stop strategy. And I was expecting most of the drivers to try and squeeze a 1-stop out of this. Nexus setting fastest lap of the race. He has taken the provisional lead, and now he's going to take the actual lead. Nothing the McLaren can do there. Pepperloo also into the pits. Very early pit stop on these medium tyres from Boris, I have to say. He's got slightly fresher tyres than Nexus, but the Mercedes does not have to pit again. He may choose to. The Renault does, so wait and see if 2 stops is going to be the way to go across the field. Estimats, almost certainly, unless he makes a mistake on those hard tyres, he'll be going towards the end of the race, and he'll only be doing a 1-stop. He's in 2nd position at the moment. Peter Parker 4th, Azamata 5th, Eva Hannon up to 6th, and then it's Sam, Astronauti, Gazaman and Kingan still battling hard. Gazaman, he's on the soft tyres, so he's another driver going for a 2-stop strategy. It'll be soft, soft, medium for him. He's making the best use of those softs at the moment in 9th place, trying to catch up to Astronauti. We'll be going to the end, I imagine, on them hards. But we'll find it very difficult. We'll have to wait and see. Nexus, fastest lap again, a 1:18.3. Just another reminder that if you set the fastest lap in the top 10, you get yourself a point. Whichever driver sets themselves the fastest lap outside the top 10, which will only be one of 2 drivers at the moment, they will also gain themselves a point. As Boris has made his way past SD Mats, and Coxey is out of the race. It's looking so promising for him in the early stages, but the Alpha has retired. DRS from Kingan now, as he's a long way behind Gazaman. Gazaman in the Red Bull, he's going to attack. Astronauti down the inside from the Red Bull. And he's going to hold on that place. He'll have DRS just to assist him a bit more. He goes up to 8th place. His teammate, Sam, will be his next target. And I'm sure if there's any sense, he won't put up too much of a challenge. 3.5 seconds further up the road, however. So we are down to pretty much only 11 runners in this race. Been quite an attritional first third of the Mexican Grand Prix, but it's familiar names towards the front of the field. Your champion, Nexus Iceman, in the lead as Boris, the 2024 man, 117.6 fastest lap of the race, and SD Mats, the only driver not to have pitted yet, in 3rd place. How long can he keep it up for on that McLaren? Will Nexus Iceman have to pit again? Because that's the only way I think I can see Boris challenging him for the victory. In fact, maybe anyone challenging him for the victory. We're going to see some interesting differences in strategies here today. You can just see the pace Gazaman has got. That has allowed him to already escape from Astronauti after only 1 lap. Kingan, he's trying to follow the Red Bull through now. Down the inside he goes. Oh, Astronauti putting up much more of a fight. Contact between the two of them, and Kingan really having no choice there but to dive to the escape road. So that's it done for this lap, I feel. I'm sure Kingan won't be too happy in that Williams in 10th place at the moment. He knows that Astronauti will, in the end, Astronauti deciding to let Kingan through. Fair play from the Renault driver there. I think he knows that he just forced Kingan slightly wide there, so that moves the Williams up into 9th place. Boris within a second now of Nexus Iceman, but wasn't within a second at the DRS point. That is the most important thing from his point of view. 7 tenths between the two of them, so next lap could be interesting from Boris. He can afford to just go crazy on those medium tyres and take some life out of them. He'll be aiming to get to around about lap 24-25, I imagine, to put the softs on for a final run to the flag. But if he could stretch it a bit longer, he won't have to worry about the soft tyres wearing, of course. Seems to have so much more pace at the moment. Astronauti, he's now down around the outside of Kingan, so this could be a battle with this Renault going on for quite a while longer. Up in front, we're about to see a battle for the lead of the race, so involving the Renault of Boris and Iceman. If I was Iceman, I don't think it's worth fighting this too hard, because it's pretty clear who's got the pace at the moment. Seeing a lot of penalties run across the bottom of the screen as we get towards the latter stages. I will update you on the penalty situation involving the leaders. DRS open on that Renault. Iceman staying to the left hand side of the track, saying, there you go mate, have the corner, have the racing line. Sensible driving from him. Boris retakes the lead of this race on lap 16 and very nearly loses the lead of this race, and possibly quite a few more car parts. He is pushing like crazy, the Russian. Tyre safing not a concern for him at the moment. Gazaman, unsurprisingly, has caught up to his teammate. Sam also not putting up too much of a fight. That is Gazaman up into 7th place. He's also another driver who will certainly be on a 2-stop strategy. Liam's ghost car taking to the pit lane, as we only have 11 runners left now, both Alphas and a Racing Point having retired from the race. So everyone will get a point, because even if Pepperloo stays in 11th place, I feel slightly cruel saying this, but by default he will have that fastest lap point for those drivers outside of the top 10. So we'll have to wait and see how his race goes in the Toro Rosso at the moment. To see the pace Boris has got, he's already pulled out over a second on Nexus. This pace difference pretty much, I think, confirms to me that Iceman's trying to stretch his tyres towards the end of the race, because if he wasn't, feel like he'd be pushing a bit harder and would have fought a bit more to keep Boris behind him. So how much can that Renault stretch the gap? Kingan and Astronauti battling through the stadium section, giving the hypnotising clapping fans through there something to cheer. Not sure whether that was the cleverest move, if it was Kingan trying to get ahead of Astronauti, because of course the Renault will now have DRS. 15 laps he has managed on them hard tyres, so tyre wear not an issue for him at the moment. He pulls out of a slipstream. Can he hold it round the outside? Kingan trying to hang on. Is he able to? No, he's not. So that is a good move from the Renault as he takes back that 9th place. He'll have DRS just to pull out the gap a slight bit more. It's pretty much the main battle during the field at the moment, because it is quite spread out at the moment. Ivahanen getting himself a time penalty, and himself, Azamata and Sam, their tyres will now be beginning to wear after their earlier incident. So don't be surprised if in the next few laps we see them head into the pits, possibly for another set of medium tyres as well to take them towards the end of the race here. We're almost halfway through, and it is Boris with a 1.6 second lead at the moment from Iceman, and Estimat's the only man yet to pit, still holding on to that 3rd position. Once again through the stadium section, Kingan and Astronauti getting close. It's pretty much roles reversed from the lap before. Williams with the DRS this time around. Renault going very defensive, only allowed to make one move. Of course, can Kingan do the same move all the way around the outside? He gets it done as well, and this battling might slow them down slightly, but also swapping DRS might help them drag their way up towards the back of the cars in front, as Astronauti very late on the brakes there. It's a good job Kingan saw that one coming. No way, I don't think there was a move on there, and the Renault and the Williams very lucky to get away without any damage at this stage in the race. Ruin both their strategies. Peter Parker there nearly drifting his way into the pit lane as he starts lap 19, 16 seconds off the lead of the race, but he's only 3.4 seconds behind Estimat. His hard tyres will be past their best now. Peter Parker can also stretch their mediums until the end, possibly. He'll be closing up onto the back of that McLaren for 3rd place, and it would be a 3rd consecutive podium for Peter Parker. He has shown some good performances over the last few races. 4 podiums so far this season. 3 drivers of the day, the most of anyone who hasn't won a race. In fact, looking at this, it's only himself and Sam out of those drivers still in the league who took driver of the day without winning. So Peter Parker has shown some good form so far this season. 4 podiums. Can he make it a 5th today? Which of course will help in his battle for 2nd in the championship. He's currently 35 points off of Estimat, down in 7th at the moment. He's closing up on that bloke who is 2nd. 3 seconds the gap now. Sam doing a good job to hold on to Gazaman as his own tyres wear. Those on his teammates will be wearing as well, and DRS also helping him keep in touch. And I feel like in a few seconds we're going to see a battle between Astronauti and Kingan once again. Azamata in the Mercedes, he dives towards the pits, put a fresh set of medium tyres on. They'll take him towards the end of this race. What can Astronauti do? Azamata's going to come out in 8th place ahead of this battle for 9th and 10th place, but a good exit out of the final corner from Kingan. We saw what happened last time, and Astronaut is a bit further back, so I think he's going to have to be a bit braver here. Kingan feeling like he can go more across to take the normal racing line. Is he able to hold on? Slight bit of contact between the two, that's compromised the Williams out of the exit. He's going to have to do it into turn 4, the Renault. Kingan going defensive this time around. You can see Pepperloop in the background. He's got a great seat of this battle. It's Astronauti all the way around the outside. Surely there's going to be some contact between the two. Kingan having to give up, but he's still fighting as hard as possible. Couldn't get alongside though going into the S's. And once again, these two swapping positions. Estimats into the pits. 20 laps is all those hard tyres could give him. So he will be changing onto the mediums. They'll take him towards the end of this race. And the more I see of this, the more I think 26 laps could be a big ask for Iceman to do on those tyres. Eva Hannon and Sam also pit him. I think we're going to see a lot of two-stop strategies maybe in this race now. Not what I expected to see. In a few other leagues I have seen the drivers manage to stretch out these mediums an insanely long time to make the one stop viable. Peter Parker earning himself a 3-second time penalty at the moment. He is in third place, and if himself and Nexus have to go for 2 stops, you've got to say it is looking good for Bovis. 3.2 seconds ahead of Iceman at the moment on slightly fresher tyres, so he'll be able to pit later. That's going to give him fresher tyres towards the end. 15 laps to go. Is it a bit early to say it's going to be a straightforward run to the flag for him? Who knows? Kingan and Astronauti once again still battling over 7th and 8th, but now they're going to have a few more cars involved, and you can see how much it's holding these guys up. Pepperloo not too far behind as well. Eva Hannon has fresh tyres, of course, as does Sam, so this two-way battle for what is now 7th place very shortly is going to involve 7th down to 11th. See Astronauti trying to go round the outside at turn 12. That's not conventionally a passing point. Has he made it stick? Eva Hannon will be wanting to get the popcorn out, but he's too busy concentrating on fighting his Ferrari to keep it out on circuit. We're going to see a double slipstream here. We know you can do 3 wide heading down towards turn 1. DRS opens on the Williams. You hear the ping as it opens on the Ferrari. Hopefully Kingan realises that he is there, and with all this lag going on it's making it a bit difficult. Astronauts has lost himself 2 places there. Eva Hannon, he's got so much more grip than these guys at the moment. He gets himself up into 7th for now. Both are going to have DRS heading down towards turn 4. Great racing from these guys. Eva Hannon up into 7th place now, and Pepperloo and Sam battling in the background. Sam with a slightly fresher tyres, he takes that final points position. Astronauti having managed 20 tyres on them 20 laps on those hard tyres after pitting earlier on in the race, so surely he's going to have to go to the end, judging by he's going to have to pit again, judging by how long SD Mats managed to make them last. Gazaman has managed 11 laps on the soft tyres. Seeing as he's done that with a bit more fuel, as he's now been passed, he does head into the pit lane at the end of his 12th lap, so looking very viable that those guys who are still on old mediums could pit for the soft tyres now. Gazaman having to go on those mediums. The gap has closed slightly at the front. It is now 2.4 seconds, so where will Gazaman come out after his pit stop? It's looking like it's going to be right at the back of the field. DRS open once again on the Renault. Sam not close enough to make it a 3-way battle this time, as Eva Hannon has escaped up the field. It's going to be a lot of paint trading between these guys, I feel, for the remaining part of this race. Kingan gets himself up into 7th place. Sam, though, he's well and truly involved in this battle, and if these two force each other wide once again, he's going to be able to take advantage. Kingan just about holding on for now. I think that's the first lap in a while we've seen anyone hold on. Sam trying to have a go down the inside, and you're only going to lose the front wing unless the car behind is very compliant. Gazaman, he'll soon get himself involved. It's what we've come to expect in Podium, though. Great battling all the way down the field. There might be more than a minute nearly off the race leader. Astronauti takes an extremely wide line there. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th places. They are fighting as if it is for the championship. That's a lunge from Sam. They make these cars tough in Milton Keynes, thankfully for him. Not a conventional passing place. Will he get the DRS? We'll have to wait and see, as Astronauti in the end heads into the pit. So that puts Sam up into 8th, and he does have use of the DRS. That's Pepperloo and Gazaman gaining a place as well. Sam on much fresher tyres than Kingan, so if he just keeps it tidy through these corners, I'd expect it to be straightforward heading into turn 4. And you can see how much time Everhanen's gained on those 2 laps, nearly 5 seconds ahead of these cars. Now Kingan going defensive, but he's not going to be able to hold it on the brake, surely. He's giving it a good go, but Sam there just with the inside line. And Pepperloo, he's wanting to get involved as well. Sam up into 7th, and I think, unless he pits soon, Kingan is going to lose a few more places. Still going at it through the S's. Kingan trying everything! And sometimes you've just got to give up, but I think that was one of them times. Kingan losing his front wing. Was due for a pit stop soon anyway, but that's just going to slow him up slightly. He drops to 10th place at the moment. You can see how spread out the field it's actually been, because Astro Naughty at the moment is a lap down. He will move up, of course, and he's got a great chance to set the fastest lap on these soft tyres. Only been lapped by his teammate at the moment, who is still 3.8 seconds ahead of Iceman and Peter Parker. Gazaman now gets past Pepperloo. Toro Rosso also suffering from having older tyres. Kingan having to come into the pits, understandably. But will Pizza and Nexus have to pit again? That is the $1 million question here in Mexico. 11 laps remaining. Boris with a 3.8 second lead. Then a huge gap back to Pizza, who has a huge gap over Estimats. If those guys have to pit again, though, could see a battle for the podium places between Parker, Estimats and Azamata. So watch this space closely. Great helicopter shot of the 2 Renaults coming through there. I'm sure Astronauti was hoping he was higher up, though, than 10th place, as he gets himself another penalty for multiple warnings. I think while it's all calmed down, we will check the warning situation between the top guys. Boris currently with a 3-second penalty. Iceman, as cool as ice, got his last warning on lap 11 and has no penalties at the moment. Parker, I have seen with just the 1 penalty. Estimats also having 1 at the moment. We'll just check Azamata as well. He got 1 in the very early stages, but that's his only penalty as well. So it's been fairly clean at the moment. If Iceman keeps it clean, though, he will be able to have a chance of winning this race, even if he pits again. And Boris, he's now into the pits, and Iceman follows as well. There's the answer to whether you can make them mediums last long enough. Pretty definitively there. Both going out on the soft tyres, so it's going to be a straight run to the flag for these guys. Will Parker join them? Was he just going to stay out a bit longer? He has got a slim chance of holding on in this race somehow, and maybe even taking the lead here from Boris. So Peter Parker, the leader of this race for a very short time, though, as Boris just tyres up to temperature already, takes the lead off him. Now what Peter Parker has got to think here, he's 17 seconds ahead of Estimats with 10 laps remaining. Is there enough time? If he pits, he'll be able to put the soft tyres on, so he will have so much more pace, but he'll probably drop behind Azamata as well to get himself back up onto the podium. We'll have to wait and see. 10 laps remaining, the top 3 in the same order that they were last time around. Boris in the lead, 1.8 seconds ahead of Peter Parker. He himself was about 1.8 seconds ahead of Iceman. Iceman with no penalties, though, only has to gain 0.8 of a second, and he could take win number 7 of the season. So it's a long way to go still in this race. The field has been action-packed so far. There's the answers to whether Parker can hold on. Diving into the pits for him. So he is going to drop behind Azamata, but will surely have the pace to challenge both the Azamata and SD Mats towards the end. Kingan, he gets a penalty for multiple warnings. Now he's trying to catch his way back up to Pepperloo to get that final points position. There we see the soft tyres on the Racing Point, the sole remaining Racing Point after Riley By's retirement. One of 3 retirements in this race. The 2 Alphas, Coxey, not sure what happened to him. I believe he crashed out, and AB having some disconnection problems, connection issues. Also claimed Ivan before the end, and are the reason why Liam is currently trundling around AFK in 12th and last position. 5 seconds in 9 laps with much fresher tyres should be a piece of cake for Peter Parker, but we will have to wait and see. Guzman and Sam 7th and 8th place at the moment. Boris fastest lap of the race, 1:16.5. He is pushing as hard as he can to get that 3rd consecutive victory. Let's just see what Guzman can do. He's 1.8 seconds behind his teammate at the moment. Seems to be suffering from a load of understeer there through that first part of the S's again through turns 7 and 8. It just looked like the Red Bull wanted to head straight on. Can't see any damage on his front wing, so not just sure that was the game onboard camera playing tricks with us slightly there. He'll be hoping he can catch up to Sam though. He's got slightly fresher tyres, but not enough to really make a difference. But already Peter Parker has caught up around about 3 seconds at the moment on those cars ahead, Azamata and SD Matt. He's going to be the one to watch as he makes his move up through the field to probably secure another podium for the Racing Point team and to just keep that slim chance he's got of getting second in the championship at the moment. A quick reminder of how it's currently looking in the Drivers' Championship with today's results. Estimat would move on to 160 points. Eva Hannon would have 148, Ivan staying on 126, which would allow Azamata to move ahead of him with 133. Zeppadoodle staying on 118 as he is absent, and Peter Parker currently down for 120 points. Make that 122. He can just out-grip that Mercedes through the final corner. He's got himself DRS. Azamata in the slipstream, but without DRS, just agonisingly watching the Racing Point slip away, and Peter Parker is up into 4th position. Quick live update on how the constructors look at the moment. Looking very good for Mercedes to try and make it the double. 28 points is what they are currently down to get in this race. That would give them a 67-point lead over Ferrari with just 3 races remaining, and if Ivan's connection issues continue, it's impossible to see how Ferrari can put up a real challenge. Hopefully they'll get that sorted for the final 3 rounds. It's Peter Parker here looking all over the back of SD Mats. We saw him get the move done before they even got onto the pit straight really last time around on Azamata. Is he going to go for a carbon copy, or is it going to have to be a more conventional straight overtake? Azamata getting himself another 3-second time penalty. You can just see ERS being adjusted on the Racing Point, and it's straightforward back onto the podium for him. He takes 3rd place. Yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. So not sure what has caused that. Can't see anyone who would have done that. Not sure if Kingan has had an incident. He looks to be travelling around fairly slowly at the moment. So not sure if he was the one causing that incident, just travelling slowly, because he seems to be struggling quite a bit at the moment. Estimat, he's struggling as well, gets himself a penalty as he tries to stay ahead of Azamata, and futile effort to try and keep in touch with Peter Parker. Looks like 3rd place is pretty safe for him. It looks like on track the win is safe for Boris as he begins now lap 32. But when you take penalties into account, it's anything but safe. Iceman has 3 seconds less penalties than Boris at the moment. meaning the gap is pretty much 0.6 of the second. It is a 5-lap time trial for the win between these two at the moment. Same age of tyres, all car performance being identical, of course, in multiplayer. Who is going to take the victory in round 18? Well, a battle still going on now for 4th place, though. As a matter, not really keeping things clean there through the chicane. That's compromised his run slightly towards turn 4. Very similar tyre age between himself and Estimates. The McLaren just ahead. As you can see how hard the Brazilian is pushing. He wants that 4th position desperately. They do have 6 seconds of time penalties between them, so as you see it out on track is realistic view of the battle as Sam gets himself a penalty. Still pushing hard in 7th place at the moment. Can the Mercedes get itself past the McLaren, which in 2021 will have the Mercedes engines? Of course, 2020 is going to be the last season for the McLaren team to have Renault engines, and miraculously we are only just over halfway through the winter break. It seems as though it has gone on forever. In about 3 weeks' time, we will know what most of the cars look like. DRS open on that Mercedes. He's fighting his best to try and keep his challenge for second in the championship alive. Round the outside he goes on the McLaren. Nothing Estimates can do. That is 4th place at the moment for the Mercedes driver. Kingan earning himself another penalty. Is Estimates able to fight back? Seems to be a lot of pickup on that McLaren tyre then. Hopefully for him that is just pick up and not wear, because he does have still 4 laps remaining, so these mediums should comfortably manage that now on the lighter fuel load. He's down into 5th place. Will he be able to challenge as a matter for the rest of this race? We will have to wait and see. Nexus, 3 laps remaining. That gap pretty much staying constant, anywhere between 3.5 and 4 seconds at the moment. He's got to find a couple of seconds a lap to get anything done. Yellow flags in sector 3, and Kingan doing a 360. Parker thankfully avoiding him. He's heading into the pits. They look as though hopefully he doesn't decide to retire from the race and he's able to continue, because he will get that point, of course, for the fastest lap outside the top 10. DRS open on the McLaren, but not close enough to as a matter, so I think this battle might be over. Pepperlou getting himself a 3-second penalty at the moment. They're down what is looking like a comfortable 10th position at the moment. Just hear the engine note. No ERS being used at the moment, saving it all for the straight where it is most useful. Yellow flag quickly recovered at turn 1. Another time penalty for Estimates. Up to 9 seconds of penalties now. He has got a big gap back to Ivahanen of over 13 seconds, so he should be safe. As a matter, getting another one as well. Pretty much saying anything you can do, I can do better. Running wide through the stadium section. Maybe this is the chance on the penultimate lap that they will soon be starting for the McLaren drivers. He runs wide coming out there through the final corner, and that's just cost him a chunk of time. He got the gap down to 2 tenths coming through the stadium there. As Iceman, he gets himself a time penalty. So he is also on 3 seconds now, as is Bovis. And unless Bovis earns himself another penalty, that might be the race over. You can see how hard Iceman is pushing. He's got the gap down to 3.2 seconds. That's the closest we have seen it at any point during this race. During the last few laps, definitely. Peter Parker as well, getting himself a penalty. They all seem to be following each other this race with the penalties. It makes it a lot easier to calculate for myself, I must say. That's Pepperlou diving into the pit, so not sure if he's the cause of the yellow flag, and he has got damage on his car. Ivahanen there, multiple warnings. And yeah, just fresh tyres for the Toro Rosso, so I think he's just going, well, I would say he's going all out for the fastest lap, but he's not going to have time, of course, to set one, having being lapped. Final lap of the race for the current holder of the fastest lap. He's actually Iceman at the moment with a 16.4, so he's getting himself an extra point. But the race leader, Boris, not long to go now as he's rounding into the second sector through the S's, through Liam's ghost car. Anything you seem to be able to chuck at him at the moment, he is able to handle. Everyone forced onto a two-stop strategy pretty much in this race, apart from Estimat, who started on the hard tyres, and he's managed to get a 5th place out of it. But Boris made the alternative strategy work, starting on the mediums, held on to the lead, and he's held on to take win number 3 of the season. It's 3 in a row for him. Nexus across the line in second, and it will be Peter Parker who will take 3rd place. Estimat's earning himself another penalty there, so that should keep Azamata secure in 4th. Liam's ghost car's crossed the line already, finishing in 12th place. So Kingan will earn himself that point for fastest lap. It's a 3rd podium in a row for Peter Parker. Azamata there, crossing in 4th, just ahead of the McLaren of Estimat's in 5th. Then you've got a long wait back to Ivahanen. It's not been an ideal race for the Ferraris. Both seem to be struggling with connection issues. And has that just put the championship out of reach for them in the Constructors? He, of course, got involved in that incident with Riley Byes early on. It'll be interesting to see if that is brought to the stewards and what they think of it. Sam will cross the line in 7th, just ahead of his teammate, who takes that place on penalties. And the final person to cross the line will be Astronauty in 9th. It's Pepperloo taking 10th place in the end, and Kingan getting the 11th position. But as we see Astronauty finish in 9th place, it's 3 wins in a row now for Boris. Where has this form come from all of a sudden? He is looking unstoppable at the moment, and I'm sure Iceman's glad that he got the championship done and dusted early on, and that Boris wasn't involved in the early races, because it has been a great job from Boris here today to take the victory at round 18 in Mexico. And it's the same top 3 as last time, in a slightly different order. This time it is Iceman in 2nd, and the Racing Point of Peter Parker in 3rd place. So the provisional results on your screen now, just read out the top 3. Iceman getting fastest lap as well. Azamata in 4th, recovering from an earlier incident. Estimat in 5th. Ivahanen 6th. Gazaman and Sam, the 2 Red Bulls, 7th and 8th. Astronaut in 9th. Pepperloo holding on to get that final point. Kingan in last place. Liam disconnected. Coxey retired from the race. AB had a chunk of connection problems. Riley getting together with Ivahanen. That's going to be, I think, a very interesting one for the stewards to look at. My nominations for the driver of the day. One of them is going to be fairly boring, unsurprisingly. I think you've got to go for Boris. He's won again from pole position. What more can you ask for? Nomination for the second one for the drive for today. I think there's a lot of drivers who've done well. I think after an early incident, I think I'm going to go for Azamata. He recovered well from spinning earlier on and causing some damage to his car. Thankfully for him, he didn't take anyone out, but he's recovered to get 4th place. He's not had the easiest season at the moment, but he is still in with a chance of securing that 2nd place in the championship. We'll have to see if he can get closer to that 2nd place next time out, and if Mercedes can get closer to securing their Constructors' Championship and doing the double, because it is possible that they will win the Constructors' Championship if they outscore Ferrari next time out at the United States Grand Prix in Austin. If you go onto the Precision Tier stream now, the qualifying session just coming to an end. I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Thank you for watching and good night.